When we talk about electrolytes, there are three main types of electrolytes. So when we talk about the three types of electrolytes, there are actually hints in chemical formulas to tell you whether something is either going to be an acid, a base, or a salt. And once we start practicing this, you're really going to see that acids and bases can actually react together and give us something. We're going to be able to pick out what the acid is, what the base is, and what the salt is in any reaction. An acid is any substance that is going to release positive hydrogen ions. It's going to have hydrogen ions in its formula. Okay, so it has hydrogen, H plus, ions. Okay? Case in point, the most common acid that we talk about is hydrochloric acid, HCl. That is an actual molecule, okay? It's the combination of a hydrogen and a chlorine. The chlorine takes the actual electron from the hydrogen and it fills out its outermost shell, right? But when we break this up, if we break this chemical equation up, that is H plus Cl minus, right? So acids are identified as to having H's in their chemical formula like that, all right? And we're going to see more and more of these and we're going to practice them. Bases, on the other hand, are a little bit different. And we're going to talk about pHs next class, acids and bases. You know their pH, right? 0 to 14. Acids have the lower numbers, bases have the higher numbers. Okay, so a base, on the other hand, is identified by having an OH or a hydroxide. Okay, this is actually called a hydroxide ion. And anytime you have hydroxide in it, in a little chemical formula, that substance will be basic. Really good example, sodium hydroxide. Okay, and hydroxide is a combination of one oxygen and one hydrogen bound together. All right? Now, anytime you have an OH here, that gives rise to a base. That's a basic substance. And then finally, okay, the last of our big three is the salt. And a salt is the combination of a metal and a nonmetal. We know that nonmetals are on the right side of the staircase. Metals are on the left with the exception of hydrogen. Okay, so salts have a metal plus a nonmetal. And the classic combination of that is sodium chloride, where sodium, Na, is bound to a chlorine, Cl. Okay, if we want to actually look at that equation, all right, NaCl is going to give rise to just a lone sodium plus a chlorine. Another example of a salt that isn't just a 1-for-1 ratio would be something like, calcium chloride. Calcium is your metal and chlorine is your nonmetal, and in order for this to be balanced, you need 2 chlorines to bond to the one calcium. Calcium has 2 valence electrons, chlorine only needs 1. So it's going to need 2 chlorine atoms to take care of the 2 actual electrons that are in the outermost shell of a calcium atom. It's in group 2. So these 3 different types of substances are what we are going to be talking about in terms of electrolytes when we go on into pH and when we go on into chapter 4, which is acid bases and the neutralization of each of these substances.